And we have a beautiful guest with us, Charlene. And she'll introduce herself more and let you know what she does. And of course, we have the great Dr. Sharmi Pratt. And
Hey.
I am Nigeria Anderson. And let you know, Safe Space Talks is not about us. It's all about you and how you can show up a better version of you by tomorrow. If you're willing, only if you're willing. We are here to help you knock out fear, anxiety, depression, whatever those ailments or situations you're being challenged with, we're here for you. We provide certain patterns and skill sets backed by biblical principles for you to take into consideration. We just want you to take it into consideration that if applied, you can put your life path to success. You can put your life's path on success. And if you follow those principles that we share with you today, we have a great topic as always. We are experts in our set fields of coaches, therapists, and doctors, but we do encourage you to get a second opinion always. But we do have the juice. Okay. So today's topic, we're going to talk about stress and stress on how it affects leadership, church leadership, high profile jobs, and the abandoned people who I was one, caregivers. So we have Charlene, and let's go.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, first and foremost, I'd like to thank both of you for inviting me to your platform. I'm super excited to be here this afternoon to talk about something that's very important to me. I am Charlene Whitaker Brown. I'm a clinical associate professor in the School of Nursing at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. I am dual certified as a family nurse practitioner as well as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And I'm also the founder of Mind Heart Institute and Wellness Center out of Charlotte, North Carolina, we see patients for depression, anxiety, OCD across the state of North Carolina. And that practice actually just launched in March of 2023. And we see patients via the telehealth platform as well as in person. I just want to say, thank you for just allowing me to be here to share with you all today. One of the things I want to just jump right on in and just talk about, let's just talk about what is stress. Before we dive into like strategies, I always
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
important to get that baseline, right?
yeah,
Figure out where we're starting from. So we know, let's understand what stress is. We know it's a natural response to our body, right, to any perceived threat or demand.
right.
It could be physical or psychological. I mean,
Yeah,
you mentioned Nigeria and high powered jobs.
yeah,
Stress can arise due to various factors such as like long working hours,
yeah,
tight deadlines,
yeah,
high pressure situations, and so on. So, we understand what is stress, then we have to talk about how it affects us, and then we can get into that deep dive of what are we going to do? How are we going to cope with stress? So, we know some stress can be like motivating chronic stress
yeah,
and have adverse effects on our mental and physical
yeah,
health,
yeah,
right? Some common stressors include like anxiety, depression, fatigue, insomnia, and even, some people have like GI problems. So, we can, get that deep dive started into, let's talk about strategies that we can use to help cope with these high power stress situations.
yeah. I know. I know it's probably not my turn, but y'all gotta let me get it in when I can. So when you don't know how to let things go,
Hmm.
those nouns or unforgiveness that that you hold on to, and
Hmm.
sometimes you don't realize that you're holding on to it, but it will come out. It will come out in anger. It
Right.
will come out in slumber. You feel
Hmm.
tired all the
Absolutely.
time. It will come out in being confused or having that brain fog. And whatever you don't get control of, you become a slave to.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be careful that increased stress and monitoring it is vital to our health. It is very vital. You know, there's been an increase of younger people having more heart attacks than ever. And I believe it's stress, and it could be poor eating.
Yeah.
It could be the
Mm-hmm.
stresses of all the killings we're watching on TV, the deaths that we've suffered from COVID and still now. You know, you think it's over, but it's not, and it's still there. And we have to get stress under control, because if you don't, then you will become a victim to it. And they call it the silent killer, because sometimes you just don't know. Now, all stress is not bad stress. You have good stress. You have stress that will help you, like performers. You know, before going on the stage, they get that anxiety, but they go out there and kill it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you have a tournament or whatever engagement, you will be getting prepared for it. You may have a little anxiousness, but most performers and athletes have it under control. So they're able to, deal with that and not have excess bad stress. Okay, who's next? Go ahead, Dr. Sherry.
See, I knew she was gonna do that, y'all.
That's because
Listen.
Latoya just came in and we got to give her a minute.
Okay, so listen. So anyway, yeah. So we're talking about something that I believe is a very good topic when you're dealing with the overall components of stress. And I like how Nigeria just talked about how all stress is not bad stress. There are some stress that really causes you to perform at your optimum level.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can get things done.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sake of this, we're going to kind of hit a lot on bad stress, because so many people deal with chronic issues and they don't understand that those chronic issues. And here's the thing, sometimes you can deal with stress so long that it becomes a part of you. And
Yeah.
what do I mean by that? It becomes a part of you to the fact that you don't even realize that you're stressing any longer.
Mm-hmm.
Now the stress has become a part of your identity. I need y'all to catch that.
Yes.
It becomes a part of your identity to the fact that you begin to experience health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't understand why you're experiencing all of these health issues,
Yes.
but it's because of stress. And you be like, I ain't stressed about nothing. I ain't stressed. Ma'am, sir, you're stressed. You just don't realize it because you have made it one with you, that it now has taken on your identity. And so now you don't even realize that your high blood pressure is because you're stressing.
That's it. That's it.
Yes.
You done been to the hospital. You done been everywhere, and and they don't know
Don't
why
know
you got high
what's
blood
going
pressure.
on.
Yeah.
They
Right.
don't know why, certain
Diabetes.
chemicals are not responding correctly in your body. They can't figure out what's happening to you. So the first thing they begin to do is say, well, here, let's treat the symptom. Oh, y'all better catch that.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
treat the symptom, and we never get to the root of things. And most of our roots have to deal with the stressors of life that
Yes.
we have become one with. Listen, you have become one with stress, and now you believe that this is just life. But we are here to tell you today that we have a remedy, right?
Yes.
And so we're going to give you some remedies today that's going to help your overall mental health. It's going to help you in such a way that you're going to be really able to operate at optimum, right, performance for your life. Because the thing is, with SST, one of the things we want to do is provide you information, not just so it can be, oh, that was good. No, for transformation. I'm going to say that again.
Come on.
We're providing you information for transformation. That's why we come on here weekly, to give you information so you can transform your life. But in order to really transform your life, you got to transform this
Your
first.
mind.
And so you cannot transform your mind if you don't have the information that's needed. Listen, contrary to what we think, we do perish because we lack knowledge. What does that mean? We lack the know-how. We don't know how to do certain things.
Yes.
And so this is what SST is all about. We want to help you to understand how to do certain things. And so when we're dealing with the stressors of life, I would like to call them the stressors of life, whatever it is, ministry stress, work stress, family stress, marriage stress, children stress, whatever your stressors is, all of these things have to deal with life.
Yes.
And so this is what we're going to just touch on and dive into. And so I'm gonna move out the way and I'm gonna turn it over, y'all, because y'all know I can go. So come on, Latoya, let's hear what you got to say, and then we're gonna put our guest speaker back up.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Sorry that I am a little bit late getting on, but I love what everyone is saying. And just to kind of piggyback a little bit off of Nigeria and even Dr. Sharmi about just not all stress being bad stress. And then also what we're talking about today, we're talking about that prolonged stress and how it begins to affect our bodies, how it begins to affect our immune system, how it affects our cardio system, or cardiac system, how it affects just down to the cellular level of our bodies, that prolonged stress. And so some people are kind of pre-wired for stress, right? Some people learn to worry and stress depending on their environment. And so you hear people say things like, well, I worry about everything. That's not a good thing. You know,
that's not cute.
Sometimes it just becomes so much a part of you, as Dr. Sharma have already said, that, you know, you don't look at it in a negative way. I worry about everything. I'm always worrying. I'm always thinking. Well, that's a problem. You have to be able to understand that at some point you got to have some solutions. At some point, you've got to learn how to retrain your brain, retrain your mind to not constantly ruminate about things. And sometimes you've got to make practical steps to change your environment. You know, if you are working in a toxic environment and you've got on every hand something going on that's toxic, that's causing you stress, then maybe you got to take a step back and say, okay, do I need to go back to school? Do I need to get another certification? Do I need to get another job? You know, if you're having some issues with stress at home, what are you taking on? Is there a place at home where you can say, okay, these kids, you're not going to be able to do basketball this season. You know, maybe you can do basketball, but you can't do basketball and soccer and track and, you know, you know, sometimes you got to make some adjustments in your life in order to deal with those stressors. So this is a topic that's near and dear to me because I was one of those people who felt like I had to worry about everything because I had to be in control.
Right. Okay, that part.
And, you know, that goes back to that whole trauma background, right? And so as a child, feeling like I didn't have control over anything, as an adult, oh, I need to have control over everything. I got to touch everything. And so, and when things happen and they're not planned, oh my gosh, I'm panicking. So this is an amazing topic to get into because so many people, I don't care what color you are, I don't care how old you are, stress is something that's going to be a part of everybody's life, but deal with it is the question.
Right. Yeah. Charlene?
Well, you know what? So what are we going to do? What are we going to put in our toolbox? So I think it's important now. We talked about what stress is, right? We understand, you know, not all stress is bad stress, but there are some stressors that are out there. So it's important. I always think you know, when you think about a toolbox, you think about what your hammer, your screwdriver, all these things that you have in your toolbox. But what as human beings are we going to put in our stress kit for what to de-stress? So let's start thinking about ideas for what? Mindfulness. I know you probably heard of that a lot. What? Mindfulness, physical activity and fitness, sleep. You know, these are like the basic things that we can at least start to do, right? So what is mindfulness? That could just be anything, anywhere from just waking up and just taking a moment to meditate, right? Just take a moment. You don't have to have 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes. You only need maybe a minute to just close your eyes and do some deep breathing techniques. I always like to do like a deep breath, a deep 10-second. Take a deep breath in, right? And then like blow it all out. So you know, that's one thing we could put in that toolbox. The other thing is physical activity and fitness. Well, you might say, well, I'm not really good at working out. You don't have to, right? You can take 5 minutes, go outside, walk around the block, walk around the neighborhood, go to a park and walk, right? But just doing something, right, to get the blood flowing, everything moving, to help de-stress, right? A lot of people realize after they've done a lot of that physical activity and fitness, they feel better. And that helps to reduce the stress, right?
Yeah.
Also, what else we can do? Realistic goals. So don't stress yourself out. We could put realistic goals inside our toolbox to help us move forward. Let's set things that we feel like are attainable goals, right? Small goals. You don't have to go out and have that big gamut. Just have some small goals to at least start that process, to start the process of movement. And one of the things I think you had mentioned Nigeria, one of the things you started talking about was certain things to like identify, that you're getting stressed. And I like this mnemonic that I had looked online for, and it's from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA. You might have heard of that. But the mnemonic they use is HALT, HALT. And that's a good thing to put in our toolbox because H is something to identify. H is for hunger. Okay, am I hungry? What's going on? Let me just have a minute. Am I hungry? A is for anger. Wait a minute. Do I feel anger? What's going on with me? L is for loneliness. Am I lonely? Am I, missing family, friends? Did I just have someone that passed away? Am I grieving? Right? Yeah. And that last one, tired. Am I tired? Do I need to get my 8 hours of sleep that we need to toolbox? So all of those things. So I think that's something quick and easy. HALT, HALT. Take that 10 seconds, that 60 seconds, deep breathe and kind of regroup, right? So you can move forward. So I think those are all good things that we can do to help us when we are, looking at how are we going to manage our time. And then another thing, I know we all are religious. We can seek support from our church leaders, seek support from our company leaders, seek support from our doctors, our nurses. These people are here to help us, right? So we don't have to be isolated. We don't have to feel alone like we're by ourselves. Friends, family, these are people who are there. We can talk to them, seek support, and kind of like reach out and talk to them. And I always like taking breaks. I always share with my patients, take time for yourself, take time to take a break.
That's key.
It's key to do that. In that hour that you're working hard, is there 5 minutes you can just get up from the computer? A lot of us now working from home, right? And we're in front of our computers all day long. And we get so consumed, we forget to get up and walk around, take a 5-minute break, and then come back and reset, right?
Reset, that's a good word.
It's so important. That resetting is so important. And I think also, I was also talking about self-care. Let's take time for self, right? Self-care is so important. All of these things we can put in our toolbox so we can kind of move forward, right? So important. So what else do you all think is important for your toolboxes? What do you all have in your toolboxes to help reset?
I want to say with the self-care, sometimes you have to schedule that because we're so inundated with life. Everybody gets so busy, and people who have a heart to serve and to give, oftentimes it's natural and normal to give and to serve to everyone else. And if you're not careful, all those things will take precedence in your life, and so you'll continue to put yourself at the bottom. And so when it comes to self-care, schedule it, put it on your calendar, make sure you have time that you have scheduled for self-care. Make sure that you schedule those moments of prayer, that you that's a scheduled time with you and the Lord that you are spending. Number one, it just shows that your priorities in order, God first, because that's where your real source and help comes from.
That part.
And so making sure that, okay, every morning when I get up, as Dr. Whitaker Brown said, that, you know, the first couple of minutes is so important. Oftentimes when we get up, if our mind gets to wondering to all the things that we have to do or the things that we had to do yesterday, we fail, like all these different things, then anxiety can set in. So when you first get up in the morning, speak to God, say a prayer. What's your foundational scriptures that you use? Take some time to say, okay, for the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever that minutes that you have, you set that time aside to pray and to meditate on the word of God to calm your mind down. And then the mindful practice is being in the present, training yourself that whatever you're doing at that time, that's what you're doing, that's what you're focusing on, not allowing yourself to be, you know, I'm in this meeting, but then I got another meeting over here and this computer, oh, and then I'm chatting on my phone, handling it. No, whatever it is that you're doing for the time, focus on that and keep your mind on that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I want to just talk about the stress and how it affects your brain. And we know that the frontal lobe of your brain is where your cognitive functions are, right? Planning, organizing, initiating. And when you're stressed, those things are affected. Okay. It impairs your judgment. You are not as vitalized as you normally would be. Again, that slumber. Again, you know, disoriented, which can also be a sign of dementia, right? And of course, we all know the hippocampus is deeper into the temporal lobe and a major role for learning and memory. So, one sign when we're talking about bad stress are your inability to retain or attain information, that learning part, forgetting the memory. You know, my glasses is here and I'm walking around the house talking about where my glasses. Come on, y'all. Come on,
Nigeria.
But, you know, it affects our neurological system.
Absolutely.
Right. And so now we're nervous all day and walking around, compulsive behaviors. Right. And of course, that before about attacks, you know, strokes. These are things that will cripple you, you know, and we were mentioning you don't have to be a gym brat working out at the gym, doing, you know, 5 hours at the gym, 3 times a day, 30 minutes, you know, light walk up, you got to walk around the block, you know, a 10-minute brisk walk, anything to try to get rid of the stress. But you have to know that you're stressed. And Dr. Sharmi said it, you can't marry it. You can't have it and own it and be like, I'm stressed. Or like Latoya said, I worry about everything. That's not cute. That is not cute, guys. You know, you're hurting yourself. And again, I will say that's why they call stress the silent killer. Okay, Dr. Sharmi.
Okay, so listen, y'all. All of y'all touched on some very good aspects and some good points. But I got to go back to the blood, and the reason I'm going back to the blood flow and how stress really does restrict that blood from flowing properly like it needs to flow throughout our bodies. And so when you think on that, then you have to understand that when you are stressed, and like Nigeria just said, it's called the silent killer, because you don't know that those moments, or it's really causing restriction in your blood. It's causing your blood to not be able to flow like it needs to flow in order to produce those certain things that needs to be produced. Blood is significant for the body. So when that blood is shut down, then you just shut down your flow. Now I can take that somewhere else, but I'm gonna bring it back. I can take that, y'all, somewhere else, all the way up here spiritual, but I'm gonna bring it back down into the natural. And so when you think about, though, that blood flow being restricted, then you have to understand that you as the individual, you will not be able to perform at optimal level This is why, even you trying to do everything for everybody
Everybody.
and you don't take time for you, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. It's something. Do you know the many studies that have been done for people taking care of their loved ones and then they wind up dying before they loved ones because
The
they were so
caretaker.
stressed out by taking care of those that they thought needed them.
Come
That
on,
they
Shami.
neglected themselves, and therefore they're no longer here because they were doing what? They were like, well, they need me. And I just want to talk about that dysfunction because nobody else probably won't say it, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's dysfunction. Okay?
Yeah.
It's dysfunction. Because what you're doing is aiding something on the inside of you that's lonely and something in you, my God, that needs to be catered to. And so therefore you find joy, which you think you're finding joy in doing everything for everybody else. But honey, ma'am, sir, those are immature mindsets, and it's something that's on the inside of you that's really crying out. And I really need you to understand that there has to be a moment in time where you yourself really see the need to aid your own deliverance.
Come on.
You need to aid your own deliverance. You need to be the individual instead of worrying about everybody else. How can I rescue myself? So many of us need to understand how we're going to rescue ourselves and really allow what's restricted on the inside of us to begin to flow properly. I'm going to turn this on over to the doctor. Go ahead.
That's good. That's good.
No, I think all of this is so key, right? So we're bringing it home with, we are spiritual beings, right? We have that spiritual foundation. And, what Dr. Shami is saying is, we have to make sure we nurture this spirit, right? We nurture this spirit. And I think LaToya mentioned, wake up, take time to pray, take time to meditate, right? And Nigeria said, take time to understand the importance of physical activity, 10 minutes. Break it up, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. By the end of the day, you've done 30 minutes in 10-minute increments. So all of this is so important. And it's so key because we understand that, like you all mentioned, there are so many things that can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, cognitive issues, right? Behavior changes, emotional regulation, all of these things affect us in our daily lives. And it's so important that we understand how to nurture it. Like LaToya said, we need to take time and schedule self-care, right? We need to take time for ourselves. And I think we also mentioned caregivers, right? Being caregivers is so important to understand. Take time out, take a break. So because the caregiver also needs to take time for themselves and recalibrate, reset, right? So important. So important. Turn it back over to you.
I want to talk about the high profile job, right? Where you put on the spot in the meeting, the Wall Street people or, the top CEOs or the Elon Musk and the Jeff Bezos and everybody. Some of the people who have high profile jobs have coaches, have therapists. There's a show I used to watch called Billions, and I love that they had a therapist in the office that, they could go there and just talk and get it out and, go back to work. We need that too. We don't have to be, billionaires. They have helplines and so many. We are actually in a mental health crisis in America, period. This is why we started this Safe Space Talks, because we already are victorious in it. We don't just talk about it, we're about it. We've been through it. We've put to practice what we're saying to you. If you put to practice these things, that you too will become a better version of yourself, right? And so when you're trying to be in a high profile job because of greed. I'm going to talk about it, right? You want to show off, you want the car, the house, the money, the women, the men, whatever. You want to be the head honcho, the big boss. You're killing yourself. See what I'm saying? You're dying inside if you don't take care of your mental health. And it has been displayed by Wall Street of people committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
All right, people in high profile jobs, the top killer if stress don't get them is suicide, and you don't need that kind of lifestyle. So it's important, guys. We're not talking about this because we know someone needs to hear it. Dr. Shimer's talking about the blood flow. We're talking about high blood pressure. That will kill you. Diabetes untreated will kill you. Heart attacks, strokes, dementia. You may be fine. And I just keep harking on that. Dr. Shami said you own it and you're living with it, because if you continue to live with it, dementia is at your door. Okay, go ahead. Anybody?
You mentioned high profile jobs, but just stressful jobs in general. They may not be grossing income like that, but you still have firefighters, police, you have pastors, you have nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners, you have construction workers, you have people who deal with children, teachers. All these jobs, even though they may not gross that, Jeff
right,
but but they still carry a lot of stress. So it's even more paramount that you take these tools and that you use them, because you're in a job that you're constantly giving, that you're constantly doing, that your mind has to constantly be thinking, and you need to be sharp. If you are a police officer, you don't have time for cognitive impairment. You got to be able to react and to respond a certain way. If you are a nurse in the emergency room, you don't have time to have cognitive impairment. And so that blood needs to be flowing the way it's supposed to in your brain, right?
That's right.
And you think about the blood flow that Dr. Sharma was talking about, it's because you're in that fight or flight. And so those that epinephrine and those other hormones that's released, it's causing that constriction in your blood vessels, and so it's causing your blood pressure to go up, and it's causing blood to shunt from other areas in your body to the most vital organ. It's preparing you to either run or fight. And so some people have like a freeze response, and then even now they're talking about like a fawn response, where you are people pleasing to be able to protect yourself. So, these are things that naturally God has given you to keep you safe, to keep you out of harm's way. But when you're in different positions like that, you can always just kind of perpetually be in that mode. And it is toxic. It's toxic to that prefrontal cortex that Nigeria was talking about. So your personality, being able to prioritize and organize, being able to be sharp and to think quickly. You can't do that if that area is offline, but that limbic system is online controlling everything. So I always say that whenever someone stresses you out, or whenever you're in a stressful situation, it controls, or it impacts. It may not control, but it impacts every cell in your body, because we are mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, as you all were talking, it's important to seek professional help, right? We talked about the other folks that might have coaches and therapists, but we as a people also need to do that too. We need to seek professional help, and it's okay. Right? We are here on this SST talk to break the stigma and let you know you're in a safe space. You can reach out to others and ask questions and say, listen, I feel like I need additional help. Right? So it's okay. We're here to let you know, both we have 2 nurse practitioners who are psychiatric NPs on the line. We have a doctor on the line, a spiritual doctor, Nigeria on the line. All of us are here.
Yeah, I'm a coach. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we have the coach here, right? Life coach. So let's get it right. So we are all here, and there are people in your neighborhood that you can connect with too. You
That's
don't
right.
have to reach outside your neighborhood. You have
That's right.
people there. You have resources there that you can connect with too. So it's so vital, so very critical.
Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about, even as everybody is talking, so when you think about the concepts of what happens psychologically, just with the whole concepts of stress, and then we're going to talk about even the basic dynamics on all the body functions that's being affected by those stressors, right? And so you have the concepts of it affects your brain, number one, then it affects your heart, number two, your kidneys, number three, your adrenaline glands, number four, and even your intestines. So all of these things are being impacted from the realities of the stressors of life, because listen, it is still stressors of life. That's where we're getting the stress from. Life, hunty. So let's talk about it. It's the stressors of life. It's those things that are impacting your life that comes in and bring all those stressors. But when you don't know how to handle stress, and listen, contrary to what people are telling you, it's possible for you to handle stress.
Yes.
You can handle stress, but you have to, number one, a lot of people don't understand their triggers. Okay.
That's it.
Ooh,
That's
that's
it. That's
the
good.
things that trigger you, you will not be able to know how to respond when things begin to stress you out, because you don't even know that this thing is a trigger. You know, I mean, it's okay to understand how you function. All right.
Yes.
Many people don't understand how they function. And so when you don't understand how you function, I tell people all the time, how can you combat something you don't understand?
Right.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
true.
You can't combat it. If you
true.
don't know you dealing with it, how you gonna overcome it?
Right.
That's
You
good.
cannot overcome something you have no reality that's even an issue for you. But
Right.
let me help all of us. Stress, it affects every human being. If you human, you
You're
are going through a stressor.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
But
Yes.
you have to understand how to de-stress. As Latoya said, God created us in such a way that he already knew that he needed to perform the limbic system. So you can understand that it's okay. You're going to fear some things sometimes. But let me help you understand how not to walk out that fear. Okay.
Come on.
Right.
You got to make
Okay,
your bed in it.
We're preaching this afternoon.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to go
Let
ahead
the church say amen.
All right.
But I
There you
just
go.
want to say, listen, so we have to understand these dynamics, though, seriously, and how we really can govern ourselves in such a way where we
That's
can
the
cause
word.
the stressors that we deal with in life to not necessarily go away, because it won't be life, but how to handle those stressors when they come about. And so, you guys, as we're about to wrap this up, we got to give the people, right? We got to give them some fundamental things, some active things that they're able to do to learn how to de-stress. Come on, who's going
All
first?
right. Well, one of my favorites is a bath. Most people shower so much and run out the house. I was like, you know what? I remember one day I was stressed. So this is a testimony. I was so stressed. I was like, I'm gonna take a bath. Right? I had my bubbles. I don't drink. So there's a non-alcoholic wine that I have. I'm not giving them no props because they got to sponsor this show. But they have non-alcohol beverages. Had my fruit in my bath, listening to some smooth jazz. And I tell you, when I got out, that had to be probably the best sleep I had in a while. And so that goes back to self-care. But knowing what works for you, knowing if it's not the gym, identify what works for you, what soothes you. Is it music? Is it sex with your spouse? I said with your spouse. I said with your spouse.
For the third time, just in case you didn't get it.
Right. For the people in the back.
Yeah.
So is it the gym? But identify, all I'm saying is identify what calms you down. Is it a small bowl of ice cream with drizzle and walnuts? What makes you happy? See, that's why you stress. You don't know what makes you happy.
All right, who next?
Yes,
Latoya?
treat yourself. Well, one of the things I like to say is you've heard the term like offense is the best defense. So sometimes just knowing where you are, I think Dr. Sharman mentioned just knowing yourself. And so, where are you? You know, what do you what resources do you already have? How resilient are you to stressors? You
That's
know,
good.
being mindful every day, just kind of where you are, being mindful of those alarm systems. That you know you may have your triggers, but how do you know that you're triggered? Okay, and you know, how do I know that I'm stressed? Okay, oh, I'm starting to eat, because that's a response to
That's
stress.
true.
You it makes you want to eat because you need to fight, you know, or run.
Right,
So
right.
am I getting more hungry, or do I have chest pain, or you know, am I so recognizing those alarms and being
Excuse me.
able to deal with them at a lower level, right? So
Right.
before you get in the red, you know,
Right,
are you in the yellow?
right.
You know, when we were when I was in the Navy, you know, we would have that. Are you in the green? Are you in the yellow? Or are you in the red? So we don't need to get in the red. Sometimes we don't need to play cleanup, you
Right,
know.
right.
But then other things that I like to do for myself is I love water. So if you are by a body of water, or if you're not, you know, if there's something that you
YMCA.
can play in the background on YouTube, there are different apps that you can have that you
Right.
can just listen to water. That you know, there's a guided meditation that you can do. Sometimes that's awesome to be able to help you focus, especially people who have a hard time kind of shutting their brain down and
Right.
meditating on their own. Guided imagery is excellent because you're focusing, and contrary to what people think, you can't focus on two things at one time.
That's right.
So when you're
Okay.
focusing on that, and then deep breathing, you know,
Yes.
activating and getting into that parasympathetic system where things are restorative. And so you know, deep breathing. Like Dr. Whitaker Brown mentioned that the 10 seconds, you know, I like to do a 4-for-4 or either a 6-by-6, where I'm really doing diaphragmatic breathing to help reset that thing and kind of get my heart rate down and get to a relaxed state. And then another thing that I like to do is write, journal.
Journal.
Just being in a season or a place of gratitude. There are so many things that you can complain about. There's so many things that you could worry about, but if you just take the second to think about what all God has already done
Come
for you,
on now.
what you're grateful for, I guarantee you it will shift that.
Shift you.
And
Yeah.
so those are just a couple of things that I do to try to help de-stress and to keep myself where I need to be.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Come on, Dr. Whitaker.
Yes, all of the above. I love all that. Taking baths and being by a body of water. I love to swim, so I like to go to my local like YMCA or a neighborhood pool that it's in my neighborhood when it's in the summertime, and swim. If you don't have those things, I like you said, listening to water, turning on the internet, maybe turn on the internet, turn on YouTube, and get the, you know, those soothing sounds that you can listen to, right? Meditation. Also, don't forget about water. You know, we are beings that are made of water, so don't forget to hydrate, right?
That's good.
Right. And eat your vegetables, eat your fruit. I think that's so important too, to kind of keep the body where it should be, right? Keep us regulated. So it's so important to do that. Delegate. If you find yourself getting too stressed out, delegate.
Yeah.
I'm guilty for not doing that enough, right?
Oh, yes.
So, you know, we need to start delegating more so we can bring that level of anxiety and stress down. Like Latoya said, think of it like a stoplight, that red, that yellow, that green. Figure out what areas you're in, right? And kind of identify those triggers so you can kind of not go above. We don't want to get to the red. We want to stay in the green, right? So that, I think that's so important. So I think all those things are good. Also, you know, we mentioned, I think you mentioned like bath time, adding in that aromatherapy. Smells, right? Smells
So good.
are good. You know, to kind of make sure we're kind of thinking of other things to kind of get our mindset in the right headspace. And before I know I turn it back over to you all to wrap it up, one of the things I wanted to share with everyone is this crisis line. So, and I'm going to read it verbatim so I don't mess it up. So if you're experiencing a life-threatening emergency, you're feeling deep in distress, or have thoughts or feelings of hurting yourself or hurting others, go to your nearest emergency room or call 988 for emergency services. So that's a national crisis line, 988 for emergency services. So make sure you keep that also in that toolbox.
All right. Good.
Okay, well, let me just say, I love everything everybody has said thus far, and even the techniques that they have given you. We have given you practical techniques today that you can take, and you yourself can just begin to de-stress. Because that's what it's all about. It's about de-stress, and we all deal with stress. Trust me. It's about de-stressing. It's about learning how to take moments for you, right? You have to take moments for you. That's the bottom line. You have to take moments for you. You have to understand that it's okay to take care of you.
That's right.
I mean, especially the church leaders.
It's okay for selfish with yourself. I'm gonna be selfish.
Come on.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's only God expects for me to take care of me, this temple that he has given to me, just like he has done the same for you. You are responsible for your temple. Your parents, your children, your husband, nobody else is responsible for your temple. You're responsible for that. And so you have to know what it is that brings you joy. And many people don't know that. As sad as it is, many people don't know what brings them joys, and the things they think bring them joys, they make dysfunctional. So
That's right.
See, y'all didn't want me to go there, because now you put dysfunction on top of dysfunction, and now you got two things of dysfunction, and what dysfunction can't lead to nothing but dysfunction.
But
no, we're giving you remedies that really can help you to de-stress, because we want you to live. We want you to live and not die, and we want you to be a mouthpiece in the land of the living, right?
Yes.
We don't want you going out of here before your time. That's why we come on here and we give you information. And listen, pass it on. If you think you don't need it, okay, fine. Somebody else will. Seriously. Listen, we understand that everybody don't think everything is for them. We're okay with that. But listen, don't be selfish. Pass the information on to somebody else that may need it. Somebody needs this, okay? They need to know ways to de-stress. Somebody needs to know that they probably even dealing with stress. And some people don't even know that stress is an issue for them.
That's right.
But it is. And so that's why we're here. We want you to be great. We want you to be at your ultimate best. Like, seriously, that's our desire. That's why we're coming on here to talk with you and to give you instructions. And not only are we providing you instructions, but we're giving you the know-how. This is what you do. And understand that it's okay at times not to be okay.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Listen. There's days when I just gotta cry. I need me a good cry. Do you understand?
Absolutely. It's okay to cry.
I'm not a superwoman. She better when she made that song, "I'm Not Your Superwoman," honey, she meant that. Do you hear me? I'm not a superwoman, but many of us try to be. We're not Wonder Woman. Take off your cape, ma'am.
Right.
Take off your cape. Okay? Take off your cape and put it to a side. And just really woosah.
Absolutely. Yes.
We want you to woosah. All right, Nigeria, I'm turning it back over to you.
Well, I want to say thank you guys for joining us one more time again. Thank you, Charlene, for being our special guest on today. And remember, you can reach out to us at safespacetalks@gmail.com. And we will, if you don't want our help, or maybe you need a referral, we'll help you navigate that situation. So until next week, one more time and again, we'll see you then.